Well, 6:44, and this morning our special series on anti-Semitism in America continues with a look at the critical role schools play in sharing this difficult history.
The stories we have heard from Holocaust survivors are at times so horrifying, it's almost hard to imagine they happened at all. That's why the commander of Allied forces in Europe, General Dwight D. Eisenhower, insisted U.S. troops take pictures and film what they were seeing, because otherwise people might not believe the scale and savagery of Nazi atrocities.
And today, as those who lived through the Second World War are passing, Holocaust education is more important than ever.
So does this mean first grade?
Yes.
Okay, so then you've got all the grades here, and then you've got, as you go, these are bigger boxes.
Yes. For middle and high school and fifth grade, we have bigger boxes.
It's called a teaching trunk. The Florida Holocaust Museum in St. Petersburg has dozens of them.
As every trunk, it's filled with books, as you can see, videos. There is a curriculum binder to give teachers ideas.
These trunks are sent to schools asking for additional materials to help teach their students about one of history's most horrifying events.
We have an amazing anthology called Salvage Pages that has diaries written by young people during the Holocaust. So that's particularly interesting for students because they can read diaries created by people who are of a similar age group.
Ursula Shapinska is the museum's director of education and research. Keeping tabs on these teaching trunks is just a small part of her job.
You know, there is a saying that history likes to repeat itself. I always say that history doesn't repeat itself. We repeat history as human beings through our choices.
And that history is under attack. Despite the pictures and eyewitness accounts, outright lies about the Holocaust, denial, and anti-Semitism have resurfaced.
I think a lot of people are wondering and scratching their head and asking themselves why? Why now? Why at all?
You know, I think like anything deep-seated and complicated, it's not just one thing.
Mike Eagle is the museum's chairman of the board. He's also the grandson of Holocaust survivors.
Education is the key, you know, and I know that can sound trite sometimes, but it's so true.
In his role, Eagle also works directly with the Florida Commissioner of Education to help schools integrate Holocaust education in the classroom. He says kids today are bombarded online with conspiracy theories and elaborate fabrications about Jews.
We always say we're racing to people's ears. And who's going to get to that ear first? Is it the good folks like us, or is it the other side?
In 1985, California became the first state in the country to make Holocaust education mandatory in public schools. A decade later, Florida also passed a similar law. As of today, almost half the states require history teachers to cover this material.
How many teachers are taught or trained how to teach the Holocaust? And it's really sensitive material and content.
Jenny Frumer is the director of the Morris Life nonprofit called Now for Holocaust Survivors. Most people know Morris Life as a well-established and trusted healthcare system in South Florida. It also operates a nonprofit created to help aging Holocaust survivors and their families with everything from meals to medical services. It's now ventured into the education field.
The reason a health system is doing education is because we've been helping Holocaust survivors for all these years. And they implore us, don't forget. What about us?
It's so important that Morris Life has invested time and money to create this.
Thank you for inviting the Holocaust learning experience to your class. We hope you find our presentation insightful and impactful.
Frumer and her colleague, Lee Routman, who serves as the executive director of the Holocaust Learning Experience, takes us through this web-based education tool for teachers. It includes highly produced videos featuring Holocaust survivors.
And the street was closed. We tried to walk the other way. The other end of the block was also cordoned off. And because I was in the street, I was the low-hanging fruit, and I was literally the first child taken.
The videos are emotional and gripping, filled with graphic photos and historical films, effective visuals to reach a digital generation.
We're using that historical footage that's so important that the Nazis were diabolical in capturing, and we're using, as Jenny said, that evil for good now, and making it relevant to today's issues.
The lessons also go one step further by connecting current day issues such as intolerance and bullying.
The man in this photo is being humiliated as a Nazi soldier cuts off his beard. No one stops the soldier. Do you think he received orders that day to stop an innocent elderly man and cut off his beard? Probably not. But there were no consequences for harassing Jewish people. If these were children, this would be called bullying. But these are not children.
The Holocaust was so much more than bullying, which it was. But how do you explain how these kinds of things start? It starts with bullying. It starts with these kinds of actions where no one really says that's not okay.
Moore's Life hopes its Holocaust learning experience will eventually be shown in every classroom across the country. While it's difficult to measure the effectiveness of all these initiatives, most agree when young people are confronted with this violent past, it's the first step towards eradicating anti-Semitism along with future crimes motivated by hate.
And that is the goal of all of this, not to dwell on the horrors of the past, but to protect the future.
Yeah, sharing these terrible truths and passing along an understanding of how such a thing could happen is the only way to ensure these inhuman crimes are not forgotten. We'll be right back.